Good morning, student. Today's our topic is pollination. What is pollination? Pollination is the transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. As you know, we studied earlier structure of flower. In flower, there is two type of reproductive system. This is pistil. This part of pistil is called stigma. This is style and this is ovary. And this part pistil, if a single pistil is present in a flower or there is so many pistils are present in a flower, pistil is also called carpel. If a single carpel, then it is gynoecium. If there is so many carpels, then they are consistently called gynoecium. And this structure is called anther. From here, with the help of microgenesis, pollen grains are formed. Then the transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma is called pollination. Pollination is of two types: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination. First of all, you have to know that there is two types of flower: bisexual and unisexual. Bisexual means both types of flower are present, or bilingual flower present on a plant. Means एक प्लांट है, इस प्लांट पे ये फ्लावर है, ठीक है, इस फ्लावर में both sex organ are present. It may be possible. And another कोई प्लांट है जिसमें क्या है, केवल सिंगल रिप्रोडक्टिव ऑर्गन है, मेल है या फीमेल है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, ठीक है. सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन, एक प्लांट के ऊपर जितने भी फ्लावर सिचुएटेड है उन फ्लावर में आपस में पॉलिनेशन होता है, तो उसे हम क्या कहेंगे, सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन. मींस a single plant has so many flowers and they are pollinated by each other. It is called self pollination. Self pollination is also of two types: autogamy and geitonogamy. Autogamy, whenever a bisexual flower is present at any flower, at any plant, then these two reproductive part, यानी किसी एक फ्लोर में बोथ रिप्रोडक्टिव पार्ट प्रेजेंट है और इसी मेल रिप्रोडक्टिव पार्ट से इसी फ्लोवर के फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव पार्ट तक पोलन ग्रेन का ट्रांसफर होता है, तो उसे क्या कहते हैं, ऑटोगेमी. और एक फ्लोवर एक प्लांट के ऊपर जितने भी फ्लोवर है उनमें अमंग में आपस में पॉलिनेशन की क्रिया होती है, तो उसको क्या कहते हैं, गाइटेनोगेमी. जैसे मेज, कुकुम्बर. अब यहां से पोलन ग्रेन इस फ्लावर से इस फ्लावर पे आ सकते हैं, इस पे आ सकते हैं. अब ये कौन लाएगा, नो प्रॉब्लम, चाहे विंड लाए, चाहे इंसेक्ट लाए, चाहे बैट लाए, कोई भी लाए. अगर एक ही फ्लावर है, एक ही प्लांट है और उस पे जितने भी फ्लावर हैं उनमें क्या हो, पॉलिनेशन हो, तो दैट इज called geitonogamy. अब सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन कब होगा, what are the adaptations of self pollination? First of all, with the help of these two types of self pollination, we know that first thing is necessary for self pollination is bisexual flower. Means whenever the bisexual flower or both the reproductive part are present in a flower, then it will be happen that self pollination will be completed. Second, homogamy. Homo means same, gamy means maturation. whenever both the reproductive part are mature at a time, then it will be happen that self pollination can be completed. Why? Because if the male reproductive part first mature, then the stigma is not prepared to receive that part, then self pollination can be not happen. So homogamy is the second adaptation or second condition for the pollination, that both the reproductive organ are mature on a same time. Cleistogamy, third adaptation for self pollination and much important adaptation, is called cleistogamy. As we know, the most attractive part of a plant is called flower. The most attractive part of a plant is called flower, and flower is attractive when it is open. हिंदी में अपन कह सकते हैं कि जब फ्लावर जो है वो खिला हुआ हो तभी क्या होता है, अट्रैक्टिव पार्ट होता है ओपन. देन देयर इज so many plants in this living world that never be open, means both the sex organs are situated in a flower but that flower can't be open, then the autogamy is happens in that flower, that is called cleistogamy. Viola, Kankova are the example of cleistogamy. Second, cross pollination. Whenever pollen grain or male gamete is transferred from one plant to another plant, from one plant to another plant by the help of anything, means abiotic or biotic methods, then it is called cross pollination. Whenever the transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma from one plant to another plant, then it is called cross pollination. Cross pollination is of two types on the basis of agents. Agent means who can transfer this pollen grain from anther to stigma, that are agents. There is two agents, abiotic means non-living agent, biotic means living agent. Abiotic, two types of abiotic agents, wind and water. Whenever the pollen grains are transferred with the help of wind, then it is called anemophily. Whenever the pollen grains are transferred with the help of water, then it is called hydrophily. Hydrophily means pollen grain will be transferred from water in aquatic plant, and anemophily means transfer of pollen grain with the help of wind. In wind pollination or anemophily, the pollen grain are heavier and produced in large amount due to transfer from pollen grain from anther to stigma. Second, whenever the living being are transfer pollen grain from anther to stigma, then it is called biotic cross pollination. Three types: insect pollination, bird pollination or bat pollination. Insect pollination is also called entomophily. Whenever insects pollinated flower, and pollination means transfer of pollen grain. So why insect pollinated flowers? Because flowers gave them some prizes, just like food and shelter and the place of where they can protect their eggs. So insects reach one flower to another flower, and at that time the pollination is happened. Second, flowers are attractive for insects, so insects are sitting on there, and with the help of their wings, their legs, pollen grain are attached to their wing and leg and transferred from one flower to another flower. Bird pollination is also called ornithophily. Ornithophily means bird. Bird are also obtained food from flower. So at the time of obtaining food, they are also help in transferring the pollen grain. Third, bat pollination is also called chiropterophily. Bat pollination, as you know, bat is the mammal, not a bird, and it is a nocturnal animal which walks in night. So in that flower which can open in the night, pollinated by bat, that is called chiropterophily. Datura inoxia example. Now adaptations for क्रॉस पोलिनेशन, जैसा कि अपन ने पढ़ा एडेप्टेशन फॉर सेल्फ पोलिनेशन. सेल्फ पोलिनेशन कब होता है? whenever bisexual flower present homogamy and clistogamy. As like that, adaptation for cross pollination. First is self sterility. Self sterility means after pollination, pollen grain can be germinated over stigma here. Whenever it can germinate, then pollen grain reproduce pollen tube, which is help in fertilization. But after reaching same species of pollen grain cannot be grow or perform pollen tube, then it is called self sterility. Example, many whitish species. Second, unisexuality means if there is a only single reproductive part is present, then automatically here cross pollination will be happen. Third, dichogamy. Dichogamy means just opposite of homogamy. Homogamy means maturation of male and female reproductive part at a time. But whenever male and female reproductive part mature at different time, then it is called dichogamy. And whenever the male reproductive part mature first, then it is called protandry. Example, hibiscus rosa sinensis. And when the female reproductive part is mature first than male reproductive part, then it is called protogyny. Example, Phycine or Ficus bengaliensis. Fourth, hercogamy. Hercogamy means whenever the maturation are on same time, but the structural differentiation between pollen and pistil, then cross pollination will be happen. It is called hercogamy. And last adaptation of cross pollination is heterostyle. Whenever the length of style is different type, means very long to the anther, very short to the anther, then it is called heterostyle. Means the length of style is differentiated so many types, then the self pollination can't be happen, then only cross pollination is happen. And example is primula. Primula is the example of heterostyle. So today's our topic is finished.